Hey there, and welcome to the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast. I'm TJ Hoisington, and in today's success interview, I was privileged to interview the Michael Jordan of political marketing, Phillip Stutts.
You already know. My passion and my mission to help you unleash your greatness within. My heart goes out to the underdogs that's on their way. If you think you can go from good to great, okay, let's motivate. Greatnesswithin.com. TJ Hoisington. Greatnesswithin.com.
Listen, if you're a business owner, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're a brand, then you're gonna wanna listen to this entire interview. Phillip spent some time talking about and sharing stories and examples about how to succeed in today's disruptive marketplace digitally and the tools you have at your fingertips to raise your business, your game, your goals to the next level. It was really great to have Phillip on the show. Now, also make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yep, subscribe, and make sure you click that notification bell so that you're the first to be notified when I come out with a new success interview or podcast or success video that can help move you closer to achieving your goals and dreams. By the way, in this interview, Phillip actually has a gift for you, so make sure you watch it and take advantage of that. It's a great offer at no cost to you. You can take advantage of it immediately, and so I'll give that to you a little later. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the interview. Phillip, welcome to the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast.
TJ, I'm honored to be here, ready to serve your audience and bring the fire.
Love it. This is great to have you on the show. A number of things caught my attention. So why don't we just begin with, why don't you share, one of the things that I do with all the guests that come on the show is I have them give a little bit of their backstory and so forth.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind sharing, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've spent the last 24 years in political marketing. So this is already, it's turning in a direction your audience may not have thought. But yeah, I have worked on multiple presidential campaigns, 3 winning presidential campaigns. I've been a part of over 1,250 election victories in my career, using marketing techniques to elect politicians. Everybody thinks that I'm some hyper-partisan person. Really, I'm just fascinated by marketing. And I think the most innovative marketing in the world is done in politics because of a couple of factors. We have election day. There isn't a made-up deadline that we have to get an ROI by. We either win or we lose. I'm either in business or I'm out of business. And because of that inescapable deadline of election day, I have to innovate 24/7 for my clients or I am out of business. And when, here's the thing, every political campaign I've ever been on has been made available in a public database that the government puts out that says, my company, Go Big Media, is working for this candidate doing marketing and they're spending this much money. And if I don't win, my competition will cut my legs out from under me. They'll crush me. They know when I lose. They know when I win. They use it against me. This is all kind of internal business of how internally business works in politics. So I only think about my candidates first. How are they going to win? And then if they win, I reap all the rewards after that, which led into the book. Because I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind and your audience's mind.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
Political marketers are more ethical and more innovative than business marketers. And I wrote a book to try to explain all the ways that is proven. And so when I kept seeing, I talked to over 100
this is in your book, Fire Them Now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when I talked to over 100 business owners for the book, and they all had the same frustration. They had hired a marketing agency. They were taken advantage of. The marketing agency made money. They didn't. They couldn't get out of a long-term contract. They had to pay all this. The marketing agency made money before the company did. And I just said that would never fly in politics because we're so ruthlessly competitive that we have to figure out every advantage we can in order for our clients to win. And once they win, then we can reap the rewards of bragging about our wins. So I just thought fundamentally that was a shift that I did not see in the business world. I felt like I had to tell that story.
An interesting thought about that. When you were describing that 2 minutes ago, talking about you got to win, they can use it against you.
Yeah.
you either win or lose, right? That is business. I mean, what you just
Of course.
described right there is what many of our listeners face every day.
Yes. They don't look at their marketing that way. In fact, you know, a little side story is I have an incurable disease, and it's an esophageal disease. And for a long time in my life, I did nothing about it. I took the medications the doctor told me. I literally just said, well, the doctors say I must do. They told me to eat the foods that probably kind of cause this disease. They told me to take medications that gave me long-term dementia, but they worked in the short run. And I just put my head in the sand and I did what they told me.
Right.
Until at the Mayo Clinic about 3 years ago, the doctor said, well, you're going to have your esophagus removed. You're going to be in a feeding tube the rest of your life, and this will happen before you're 50.
Wow.
And so I'm 45 right now.
Right.
And I just drove home and I said, no more. The pain was too great, and I had to make a decision. And I think in the lifespan of a business owner, people don't make moves until the pain is too great. If I'd been taking the vitamin instead of the aspirin, maybe I'd never even had this disease to begin with. And so I'm driven to help business owners try to get them to take vitamins rather than aspirin. And that is the win or lose mentality. They don't see the election day down the road.
Right.
The conclusion of my story on the disease is I wrote an article for Inc. magazine about how I plan to find a cure to this disease. And a researcher found it. We put a team around me. Over the last 3 years, we have petitioned the FDA for approval of a first ever clinical trial. It has been approved. We have begun the process of starting this, and they have extracted stem cells out of my thigh muscle. They are growing them in a lab right now. And in about 4 months after they've grown them, they will inject them into my esophagus to try to regenerate the muscles and nerves, which are dead. It has never happened before, never happened to animals before, never been tested. I am the guinea pig of all guinea pigs. But I finally said the pain was too great and I was going to do something about it. And the doctors laughed at me. The doctors at the Mayo Clinic laughed at me, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, right.
They just know what they know. But I'm an ignorant entrepreneur, right? I mean, entrepreneurs are ignorant. That's why we start businesses. Like, we'd be stupid to do it otherwise.
We believe in the ideal, right?
It's so stupid, but it worked, right? And this clinical trial, it may not work. I'm okay with that. I'm gonna go for it. And it's the same thing I tell business owners and politicians. Like, you can't have the pain to be too heavy on you to come out and change and adapt and innovate. And I just see this in politics all the time, and I do not see it with business owners or really marketers in the business arena.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear about that. Incurable.
No, I'm good.
But hey, the future based on your energy, man, seems bright. So we'll see what happens. All right.
Yeah, listen, TJ, the disease is the best thing that ever happened to me. Hands down. Saved my life.
It woke you up?
I believe that I realized that in my life, I have a finite time period left.
Oh, yeah. Og Mandino would always say, too many of us live our lives as though we have 1,000 years to live.
And I lived that way. I was not a good person. I treated people poorly. I didn't run my businesses very well. I didn't have a good culture in my company. The disease focused my entire life, all for the better. I don't want to live a life that's not purpose-driven every single day, that's not filled with growth and giving back. It's just how I'm wired now.
And just for those
not wired that way before the disease.
Totally. I get that. And that's the blessing of pain in our lives, right? Sometimes when we're pushed to the edge is when our true selves come out.
Totally.
Possibilities open up before us. And it's just our goal, hopefully, is to trust the process and continue moving forward. You know, I work with organizations all day long in terms of creating cultures. And as Ken Blanchard always says, he said it on my podcast a couple of years ago, he says, all leadership is mirrored throughout the organization. And one thing is there are pain and issues inside companies I see that they just either ignore or aren't even aware of. And so this is really good. It's exactly what you're talking about.
And we all go through this as business owners. I'm not immune
No,
to it. I'm still going through it with all my
me too.
businesses.
Me too. Exactly. This is life. This is about being competitive and so forth. Okay, I want to back up just
All
a
right,
little bit.
let's do it. Let's do it.
So you're 45.
Yeah.
I'm 45 years old. I'll be turning 46 soon. But a number of years ago, I was on the staff of, I'm just going just a little bit of fun politics. I stay out of politics, generally speaking,
right.
but it does, no, hold on. It does interest me. I do my research and I study things out for sure. And so it was several years ago, I was on the staff of Senator Hatch.
Oh, really?
Worked on the Judiciary Committee during the Ruby Ridge and the Waco hearings. I was working with those attorneys on the Judiciary Committee.
What year was that?
That would have been 94.
Okay.
94,
awesome.
95.
Yeah.
1995, 94, 95. Here, I just pulled off my wall in my studio here, this picture, and I'll have to,
Dole.
I'll put a different picture up in case it doesn't come through. Bob Dole.
Hey, you can go, if you go to my website, there's a picture of Dole and me on the
Are there, is there really?
Yeah,
oh, that's awesome. So, and then I noticed when I was looking through your book, which is a great book, and I got to tell the listeners, there's a lot of data in there. And what I love is a lot of stories and examples that we'll go through. I'm sure some of those here in this interview, but it really, you create an understanding and a picture of how you need to operate and run your business. But what I loved about your acknowledgement section is one of the first people that you acknowledge and thank was Tony Robbins.
Sure.
So I don't know if you thank a lot of people because there's a lot of influences in your life for sure.
Yeah.
But you did mention Tony Robbins. I used to work for Tony Robbins. So,
great.
So in 1999 through 2000, I traveled around for him and it was a great ride. So I just found some commonality with you. So this is really cool.
Yeah, real quick, the Date with Destiny, which I've done twice,
Have you?
with Tony, was the single-handedly the worst moment of my life occurred in Date with Destiny because I realized who I was, and who I needed to be.
For sure.
And it's also the greatest moment of my life. Really, I mean, I sit here and tell you about the disease and how I want to live my life. That all came out of Date with Destiny. So I'm eternally grateful to that man.
Totally. And there was a lot of things I learned from him as well. I am a little bit different. I'm curious. How old were you when you kind of figured out who you are and what your purpose is? How old were you?
40.
Hey, no. Listen,
I was 40. It's 5 years ago.
I get it. So I interviewed Rich Karlgaard, the editor of Fortune magazine, right? And he came out with a book, and I interviewed him on the podcast, and his whole book is called Late Bloomers, and it's all about people that are 35, 40, 45, 50 who actually are blessed to figure out I remember reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and he said most millionaires were made over the age of 45. Right? It's when people kind of wake up in many respects. I'm a little different, that I figured out what my purpose was in life at 15 years old, laying on my bed, listening to a tape of Jim Rohn, so we all come from a different place, but the fact that you figured that out and you've been in the business for 24 years. So I'm curious, tell us some story. Well, let me ask you this. Right now, we are a year out from a new election, if you will.
Yeah.
What digitally, because that's your focus, right? Marketing digitally and so forth. What have you seen change, let's say, over the last 20 years, let's say, going back a few years to right now? Anything that you've noticed as patterns that are different based on what you study and research?
Yeah, so I would tell you we are in a very, I know they say the word disruption is very cliched and stereotyped right now. I get it. But we are in the most disruptive moment in human history. And I think Ray Kurzweil has labeled it, we're only 1% into this, right? And that we have a lot. And every industry, every business will be disrupted. In the book, I talk about all the industries, just a couple, like I named like 2 that are going to be completely disrupted, but there's second and third order consequences. And ultimately, every job, every occupation out there every industry will be disrupted in a major way. In politics, again, I go back to this election day has forced that disruption on us 15 years before everybody else. And so what happened was don't say, well, we've been doing this in corporate, like I know, but hear me out. The most disruptive moment that ever happened in a political campaign in the history of our country happened in 2004. I was blessed. I worked for George W. Bush. I ran his entire Get Out the Vote program. And it was the first time a political campaign married voter data. So I can go into any state. You're in Seattle. I can go into Washington State. I can get all the data from the state of Washington, from the Secretary of State's office. I can find out all the data of everybody that voted when they voted in primary. Some states it's Republican, Democrat, Independent. I can find out if you're male, female, birth date. I can get all this data on you for free in every single state. It's publicly available. We always use that data to turn out voters. We always use that data to figure out like what they cared about, right? And then target and market our campaigns that way. But 2004, the Bush reelection campaign, we were able to take consumer data for the first time ever into a political campaign. So we took consumer data, the cars you drove, the purchase you made on credit cards, back then the magazines you subscribed to.
Right.
10,000 data points on each person, marry it with the voter data, and create profiles of every single voter and what they cared about. So we could use that to tailor our marketing campaign. That had never been done in the history of American politics. It was the most disruptive moment ever in American politics, especially on the marketing side, until 2008, when Obama took and not stole, but he completely modeled our data campaign, because social really didn't exist in 04, right? We had internet campaigns, but it was terrible targeting and all that. So you used all this commercial and voter data to knock on doors of voters, to make phone calls to voters, to send them direct mail pieces on the issues they cared about. But in 2008, Facebook came into play, social media came into play, and in 08 and 012, Obama ran the most innovative marketing campaign in the history of American politics by combining social media with the same data approach that we did in 2004. And those were the two most disruptive campaigns in the history of American politics until 2016, when the most disruptive human being in the history of American politics came in and combined the same data model that we've used with social media and branding. He created the greatest branding campaign in the history of American politics. And when you combine all of those three things, it's the reason he won his campaign. And I tell you that because in the corporate world, we are just seeing the first domino fall on the first disruption. And we are going to go through a 12, 15, 16-year process where everything is going to be reshaped. Everything is going to be the most innovative X ever. And these are all happening. And I know the pattern. I saw the pattern. It started in 2004. And the reason it started in 2004 is because in 2000, we went to a stupid recount and I had to go to Florida over Thanksgiving and not be with my friends and family over the holidays. And we said, we are never going to have a recount again. We're going to do whatever it takes. And it made us innovate. And then when we won in 04, the Obama team said, my God, Democrats, we can't lose again. We must innovate. And so they did. And then Republicans sat in the darkness for 8 years. And then they went, my God, we got to innovate, not just the candidate, but the campaign itself, the marketing campaign. And that has created, and that is why I tell you what we're doing in politics right now, the principles of marketing are the most innovative, disruptive that a business owner can ever study. And that's what I tried to approach the book with.
Yeah, Fire Them Now is the name of the book. You talk in the book, and you already sort of mentioned it, but you said and I'm saying this for business owners, particularly those listeners, those entrepreneurs listening. You said, think like an underdog.
Yeah.
This is vital. And I wrote down here some side notes: always growing, always innovating, always strategizing. If these disruptions are happening, they have happened and they will continue to happen.
Sure.
What are businesses doing and what can they do? So the strategies that you use, can a small company use them as well as a big company?
Yeah. Let me give you the approach in politics, and then I'll lay it out how a business owner should look at it.
Okay.
In every campaign I've ever worked on since 1996, the first campaign I ever worked on was Bob Dole for president, by the way.
Oh,
TJ,
interesting.
so you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Every campaign, we use data on the voters, just like I told you, to figure out what they care about.
By the way, when you receive the data points from the Secretary of State, does that include the voter's name? And does it include, just because I don't know this, and does that include how the voter voted?
No, of course it doesn't include how he voted, how he or she voted.
Okay.
That does not. But it is the name. Absolutely, it's the name. They give us the name, the age, the gender, how often they vote. Are they habitual voters or are they absent voters? They vote once every 2 or 3 years. Like, then that helps us, informs us in how hard we should be marketing to them. So all of those things. But when I mean like this, let's just take a U.S. Senate race. The U.S. Senator comes to us and says, I want to run for office. Great. Most of them are not self-funders. And so the first thing I say is, what do you believe? And they go, oh, well, here, and they lay out 10 issues they really care about. And I go, well, that's awesome. Then we take a poll, and I'm going to be very rudimentary here. It's much more complicated with data these days, but we take a poll in the district or the state, and we find out what the voters care about to get us to 50+1. I have a vote goal. That's all I care about. Give me the 50+1, I win. I don't care about anything else. And I find out 2 issues that the voters are extremely passionate about that match and align with one of the 10, 2 of the 10 issues that the candidate. Now I've found alignment between the voters and the politicians. Politicians love those, passionate about these 2 issues, and so are the voters. From that point on, we don't talk about anything else.
Got it.
Every ad we run, everything we do is all based on what the data told us about what the voter feels and thinks and wants. It's also aligned with how the politician feels and thinks and wants, right? And so that's how we do it. So think about it from your business perspective. Almost every company we've worked with, I'll say, great, tell me about your business. And all they do is brag about their company and what they've built. I get it. I'm a business owner. I do it all the time, doing it right here on this show. But what does your customer really care about?
Fair.
And what you don't find is business owners that really deep dive into the data to find what they care about so they can tailor their marketing based on what the customer or client feels, not what they want to talk about. And so for me, the first thing I do, you cannot work with me unless you undergo a data project on your customer or client base. B2B, B2C, it doesn't matter. We must have a deep understanding of those, and we will not work with you any other way.
Got it.
And so that is how we started out before anything else. I got so passionate about this because we saw success with almost every client we worked with that followed this process properly, that I said, I got to figure this out because I need to give my clients an advantage. And so I went out and created the only licensing agreement with the largest data collection company in America. They have over 1 billion records of everything you've done in your life. I mean, billions and billions of records based on your movements online, not what you say, what you do. And what I can do with a customer base is, or a lookalike audience, if we build one out or whatever, is I can overlay that data, track your customer base for months or a month or a couple of weeks, and then I can tell you everything that you need to know about them, what they care about, what they think about, what they watch on TV, how much time they're spending online, the platforms, the social media platforms they're on in chronological order. And I tell you this, so why would you spend money on marketing if you knew your customer base was over here and you were marketing over in a different direction? It makes no sense to me. For example, we work with a national pest control company, and they had lost millions of dollars on their marketing after they had built this incredible company. And we made them overlay hundreds of thousands of customer records to follow and track what they did. They had marketed to discounts for years and years and years, and they'd built a great company, and all of a sudden it stopped working. They didn't know why. What we found in the data after tracking their customer base was that they had made more money, and discounts were looked at as cheap. So you were marketing to your customers in a way that they thought was cheap, so they didn't want to hire you. We also found out that their kids were out of the household for the most part, like 70%. that had a recurring spend on pest control services.
Right.
And what that meant was that they cared about their community more than they cared about investing money into their kids, because their kids were out of the house. This company had donated millions of dollars of profits to charities in various communities, and had never told that story. The last thing we found in the data was, because they had a higher standard, because they made more money, because the economy had gotten better, they wanted safer green products. This company had safe green pest control products they'd never marketed before. So we took
Because
all that
they
data.
didn't know. They didn't know that was a value. Yeah.
They didn't know what their customers thought. So we started working through, we have a 5-step process you have to follow with us, because it eliminates all the risk of the business. And if you're a business owner and you don't want to follow it, I don't want to work with you, because that means you don't want to eliminate risk out of your own business. You're not worth my time.
Right.
But we followed this process where we did all the data. And then we wrote a strategic plan, messaging plan, ad plan for them. Then we rebranded their website, all their content around what the customer wanted to see. And then we started testing the messages. So we found these 3 messages. We tested it 20,000 different ways with them. Once we found out the ads that really just stuck, like were just hardcore worked, we launched a full-scale marketing campaign for this company. 4 months later, we had to do all of the risk elimination first. We had to figure out what worked first, and then we launched. The company this past May, in May of 2019, had the greatest month in the history of their company. They had their video, the ads we ran had a 2x return on the video, because the video all had the right messaging. It was actually it was very funny, so we grabbed their attention, and then we interspersed the same messages: green, safe products, family-owned business, high standards, all these things. And boom, we had this incredible turnout. And turnout, I mean, the company is growing like crazy right now. Then we started doing it with all our clients, and we went, oh my God, it's working for everybody. Can I give you another example?
Sure.
Okay. According to the Wharton School of Business, 50% of all purchasing decisions right now are coming from referrals and third-party validation. Okay. So let me ask you this. Are you seeing a banner ad and clicking on it and buying products right now? No. Right. So the point is, you have to grab their attention, and then you have to prove it. That's how it is. We work for an apparel company right now, a national apparel company. And when we ran the data of their customers, we found out they also wanted third-party validation. They wanted referrals. They wanted to make sure 5-star reviews were everywhere. So we went out and tested all these ads with that particular message, along with other things that we found. So, and I just got the results back. So I'm sorry, I'm looking at them right now. So what we found was the company's average first purchase before the third-party review ads was $55.
Okay.
After we ran that, their average first purchase was $92.
Huge.
They had a 45% lower cost per purchase. Why? Because the customer wants this validation before they make a purchase. They were drawn in by this 5-star review on the ad. They had never done this. This is important because it is what the customer cares about. And I keep going back to this.
Have you seen companies request your help with the data and then change some of the products that they offer and so forth because they see what the need is out there? So my mind is going in 2 places.
Sure.
Number one, you say in the book, for business owners, this is a quote, for business owners, I'm talking about a mindset shift. It's about switching your primary focus from, quote, why don't my customers want my amazing product or service, to, quote, what do my customers want? And then in the back of my mind, I had this little voice back here from reading the book on Steve Jobs. It says that people don't know what they want until I create it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's almost like, and I'm imagining companies can use all that data, which I read the Edward Snowden book, and I tell you what, that blew my mind. How much data is really out there. And then I've worked with companies that take in that data, and there's a couple billion-dollar companies that, I mean, everybody's, I guess, footprint, as you would call it, has a price tag on it. And
So
it's
yeah, and
amazing.
I'd say that still Steve Jobs is right. You have to give them sometimes things that they don't know they want yet. But trust me on this: everything he
Okay.
did around the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod,
Yep.
all those products, he tapped into their deep psychology and the things that drove them to make decisions.
Yep.
So maybe he delivered a product that they didn't know they wanted,
But he knew
got
that.
there by meeting them where they were, not in the buy my product. That's not what he did. He
Right.
created envy, and he created want, and he created emotion around everything he did. And I lay out actually this entire thing in the book. In politics, let me give you one example of how we do it in politics. Negative ads.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Right.
You know, negative ads. Everybody hates negative ads. I get that. Don't worry of the fact that in politics, I love to whack people over the head and knock them out and win campaigns. I do, and let's put that over to the side. I'm not talking about that when it comes to when we work with businesses.
Okay.
But I am going to use the same principle. The reason we run negative ads in politics is because they work. That's why we do them. If they didn't work, we wouldn't do them. And so what I say is, wow, can we take the principle of this and apply it to businesses? When we have had insane results. We had a food and supplement company that we found out in the data that their customer base hated soda.
Right.
We ended up converting at a 2 times rate the soda ad than any other ad we ran. It had a 2x click-through rate on all ads and a 20% higher conversion
Can you
rate.
give me a picture, or give our audience a picture of a negative?
I totally am. So let's talk about what Steve Jobs did.
Oh, okay.
Steve Jobs, and I talked about this in the book, but he did the Mac versus the PC ads from 12 years ago. If you remember
that.
these.
Yep, I do.
That is it's not a negative ad. It's a comparative ad. I actually just bought comparatizing.com because I like to call it comparatizing. Okay. So it's probably going to be a book one day. But for now,
all right,
it's called comparatizing. If you remember Mac versus PC, it's 2 guys on a white screen, and the PC guy is like old, fat, he's got square nerdy glasses, he's fumbling all over himself, and you laugh at him because it's not Apple telling you he's an idiot, you see that he's an idiot. And then you've got the Apple guy who's young, hip, wears cool clothes, and he's like, buy the product. Steve Jobs cut 360 ads of the Mac versus PC guy. He only ran 68 of them. He was so obsessed with the concept of comparative advertising that this is what he did. He started launching these ads at the same time that the iPhone came out. That, along with the iPhone, created a momentum that took Apple to a stratosphere that still exists today as the first ever $1 billion or first ever what was it? They got to over their stock got to a billion or a trillion. I mean, it was $1 trillion in stock value. And so that all started with one comparatizing ad. Now that we're doing it with our clients, we're not offending any customers at all. We're drawing comparisons between a business and their competitors that makes the consumer see the competitor in a different light and keeps them at the white horse level. They are always clean. They're always the best. All those types of things. And an example of this, if I'm going to get really, really marketing nerdy for 1 second, but we did this also for the apparel company we work with. And we only segmented young men for this apparel company. And we ran an ad that said, why would you buy your clothes from a shoe company? Just don't do it. Okay, get it? Everybody get it out there? Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, it's a shot at Nike, but it's really a shot at Nike, Adidas, Under Armour. It's a knock on any cheap sporting athletic clothesline, right? Are you offended by that tagline?
No.
Okay, great. So here's what happened. It was the largest ROI we had. The ROI was not conversions. The ROI was getting consumers to consume it, click on the ad, and put them in a retargeting pool that we could continue to build a relationship with them over time. It's like phones, right? It's the best way to describe it. And so because of that, we are now able to retarget those people over and over and over again. And what we know is the more we retarget rather than going after new customers, the higher ROI we're going to have for them to actually buy products. And now that we know the lifetime value of that particular company for one purchase, we know how much we need to spend in order to make a profit for that company. That all started because in politics, I just understand you have to tap into emotion. Everything is about emotion. Everything that's out there in corporate.
I remember Steve Jobs
before
the iPhone, when he first came out with the iPod, that silver little thing.
Yep.
And he said, you could have 1,000 songs in your pocket anytime you want to listen to it, was a breakthrough. I remember watching that keynote years ago and thinking, that's unbelievable. That's true. I can listen to my favorite songs wherever I'm at.
Right.
It was so emotional. And then you just saw the pattern.
TJ, did you ever go back and buy a Walkman after that?
No.
There you go.
Exactly. That was
he didn't say mine's better than a Walkman. He just created the environment to say, oh, I don't want that anymore.
Totally.
And so here's the deal. Everybody, as we're on video right now, and I've got a phone in front of it, everybody's got their phone in front of their face 24/7, but no one is building emotional connections. They're just running stuff and screaming into a camera, screaming into a phone. I just look at it. I play a totally different game. My entire obsessive nature is about understanding what the customer wants and delivering what they want. Having my creative ads make them go, wait, what is that? And then click on it. I don't think I'm going to convert somebody a cold banner ad. That doesn't work.
Right.
It is about getting their attention, having them click through, and then building a relationship. And that is so lost in the art of marketing now. And it is why business owners continually fire marketing agencies.
Got it. That answers that. That is awesome. Okay. So I got a couple questions here. You talk about authenticity, and actually where I got this, as I was searching you and reading on Medium, you did an article.
Yeah.
With LeBron James, and you talk number 2, one of your steps down at the bottom, I just put down here, you said, here's a little secret on brand authenticity. No matter what you are hoping people don't see about you or your business, they actually see it. Stand for something, serve others, admit when you're wrong, and hold to your principles. The money will come. I love that.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
No, yeah. I mean,
I'll give you a great example of something that just happened this week. I grew up in Alabama. You can see the Alabama football helmet behind me. I went to Alabama, University of Alabama, big college football fan. But I spent 17 years in Washington, D.C. before I moved to Florida about 5 years ago. I consider Washington basically my hometown. I love the place. When my little girl is grown up and goes to college, my wife and I will probably go back to DC. And they just won the World Series. The Washington Nationals won the World Series in baseball. And after crying and staying up till midnight every night watching every game, and they had a huge parade over the weekend, and the players were taking off their shirts and guzzling beers, and I just thought this is the greatest thing ever. They captured a city. They made this entire city happy. It brought people together all over the place because it wasn't about politics. Well, all of a sudden, something happened yesterday. They got invited to the White House. Now, every sports team in the last 50 years has gone to the White House and won a championship. I don't care if you hate Trump or you love Trump, you still go to the White House. It's not about him. It is about the office. It is about respect for the office and respect for the presidency. You can say, I don't respect Trump. I appreciate that. I'm good. If you feel that way, good. This is a sports team. They're not political.
Right.
At the White House yesterday, one of the players got up and put one of the Asian players got up and put a MAGA hat on as a joke and waved his hands up. He had to shut down his Twitter feed because he offended so many people. Another player got up to present the jersey to Trump, as every sports team has done for 50 years. His name's Ryan Zimmerman. His nickname is Mr. National because he's played with the team since it came to DC. People changed his Wikipedia page yesterday to call him Mr. Nationalist, meaning he was a racist for handing a jersey to the president. Now, what happens in the inauthentic moments like this is the players go out and apologize and they say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, I didn't know. Well, neither one of those players did. In fact, Kurt Suzuki said, man, we were there to celebrate the World Series. I don't follow politics. I was having fun. Good for Kurt Suzuki, the player that put the MAGA hat on. He wasn't doing it to make a political statement. He was celebrating with his teammates, and he didn't apologize. And that's authenticity to me. What's inauthentic is the people that kowtow to the mob 24 hours a day, who are scared of their own shadow because they think that the 0.5% of population out there that's scaring everybody into oblivion is who they have to serve. And I don't believe that at all.
It's a scary place we're in. I'll give you a little case example. So when I was in high school, I did a speaking engagement at the state level. And the subject was on the free enterprise system and capitalism. Well, I found it. This is 1992. I did this. I thought, hey, this would be a cool video to maybe share some of my general thoughts on capitalism.
Sure.
Versus socialism, but capitalism. And the team went to promote the video on Facebook, for example, and it was denied.
You're kidding.
Just because I said that I think capitalism is great when it's done properly, basically was general gist of the video. They denied it. And I think, wow, we are monitoring so much out there. Is it even possible for people to be authentic?
Yeah, I mean, I was just on James Altucher's podcast, and I told him what I'll tell you. Facebook's a horrible platform, and it was a great platform about 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't know if it'll exist in the same form in 3 or 4 years. This kind of denial of getting your message out, whether it's in politics or whether it's in your marketing. We're finding this on the marketing side. Sometimes it's taking us 6 weeks to get our clients uploaded onto the ad platform because you have to go through so many hoops and it's so bureaucratic, and they're ruining everything. Just like, I guess Gary Vaynerchuk has a great quote that says, marketers ruin everything.
Yeah, he does.
I don't think marketers ruin everything. I think the platform, the media outlets ruin everything. That's just where we're getting our message.
I think there's some truth in that. I think lay off a little bit and let people view. Man, I get hate speech is one thing, but not everything that someone feels is hate speech, for example, right? I mean, if you have strong opinions towards something. So anyway,
thanks for sharing that. Listen, you are like the 3,000th person that shared a story very similar over the last 12 months. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's something weird going on. It's not just political. It's corporate marketing as well. It's a different platform right now.
Well, yeah, I just wonder where things are going. Okay, you talk about Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I think he's great in a lot of ways. I particularly enjoyed a lot of his podcasts from a couple years ago when he was like you, teaching strategic ideas for marketing and so forth. I remember I used to listen to those, and one of the things that he said, and I put it in my notes back then, he goes, speed. Process cripples people. We put process, subjective, creative on a pedestal, following rules. It sucks. It doesn't allow you to build $1 trillion things. And then he went on, do you want to succeed? Here's Gary's advice. And you brought it up in your book differently, but you brought it up in your book. He said, speed and volume, speed and volume. That's the formula. Speed, quantity, and quantity.
Yeah, I mean, 2 things. One, I believe I only know fast, right? What I found on the corporate marketing side, though, is that you do need to eliminate the risk of the business owner as much as possible. So if you can spend 3 months testing everything, finding out what the customers want, testing all of those messages, finding out what works, and then a launch after that to go fast and to scale, that's great. The one hiccup I find is business owners tell you one thing and then you say, great. And they go, well, I want to spend $500 a month on my ads.
Right, exactly.
And I'll give you a great example. I've had 2 influencers that have 6 to 7 figure followings that have approached me in the last 2 months and said, we'd like you to be the marketing agency for us. And I said, no. And the reason, they said, why? And I said, well, your marketing budget every month is about $10,000, and you're competing against a Grant Cardone or Gary Vaynerchuk who are dropping $1 million to $10 million a month. You cannot scale if you decide you want to play a low volume game. You cannot, I can't give you a world-class experience on a Walmart budget. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I get that.
And business owners, need to understand, like, they're in business to take chances. I'm in business to eliminate their risks so that they can grow. If you combine those two things, it's an unstoppable force. But not everybody is aligned that way, and that's okay. They have that right. They're the business owner.
That's correct. And the same thing happens in the consulting world. You know this too, is people want to save as much money as possible, but they have a crazy, audacious problem happening in their business that needs to be fixed ASAP. Well, do you want us, our whole team involved, or do you just want a little piece of our team involved to fix that problem?
And here's a great metaphor in that. I always tell people, and feel free to steal this. I always say, what is the most valuable stock in your portfolio? And they say, oh, I don't know. I've got some Apple stock, or I've got this startup, or I'm in a VC fund. I'm like, great. My greatest stock is me. And so I've spent almost $500,000 in the last 5 years on coaches, on going to the best masterminds in the world. And the reason I scaled my company to over 30 million in less than 5 years of marketing, building 2 marketing agencies, over $30 million in less than 5 years with no outside investment and no debt, is because I invested in me first.
Amen to that.
And I can't tell you how many people that sit there and they want to nickel and dime you, and you're like, well, then you don't think of yourself as the best stock in your portfolio.
Love that. There's in the book, As a Man Thinketh, a little secret was tucked on page 54 or something like that in that book. I don't remember what. It probably wasn't 54. It's probably 13 or something. He said, James Allen said, you don't get in life what you want. You get in life who you are. And so if a listener listening to this podcast, watching this on YouTube, whatever, if you'll take more time and make it a focus of you to develop you, to grow in yourself. It was Jim Rohn, the great business philosopher, that would say, you don't get paid based on demand. You get paid based on the value you bring to marketplace.
Yeah.
And he would always say, you could go work. His example was, you could always go work at McDonald's and you can show up and do a bare minimum job and get paid minimum wage. He says, but if you show up at McDonald's and you smile while you work, you'll probably get a raise faster than the next person, right? But he says, better yet, if you show up, this is him speaking, if you show up and you do your job and you smile while you work and you whistle while you work, hey, the future, the sky's the limit to what your promotion could be or whatever else, right?
Yeah.
It's contagious. The value is people need, it's the second chapter in my book, If You Think You Can, right? Is take time to work on you, develop you. And as you do that, for your company and invest in your company or whatever your focus is, and you pour into it, you will always get tenfold in return. It's the same analogy as the bamboo tree. The first year you plant the seed, it grows you don't even see it grow. It's underground. The second year, it's still underground. The third year, it's still underground. The fourth year, it grows about 6 inches.
Yeah.
No big deal. The first 3 months of the fifth year, that bamboo tree grows to 80 feet in 3 months. Unbelievable, right? What was it doing in the meantime? It was strengthening its roots to prepare for the monsoons and the winds and so forth. Individuals have to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's totally. I agree.
So invest in yourself for sure. Okay. Tell me this. How can people, all right.
Yeah. I mean, part of my change, my personality is, we kind of developed our company based on 2 things: give and grow. Everybody that works with us has to have a growth plan in life. If they're doing the same job that they're doing 2 years before, they should probably not work here. They should work themselves out of a job every single year and grow into another role. And the other thing we have is give more than you take. And so we always try to overserve with our clients. We try to overserve with our team here that work with us. And then when I was writing the book, I'm like, how can I help business owners that don't even work with us? Because I thought that would be the trifecta. And so we created a 5-minute free marketing audit. If you're a business owner out there and you're like, I'm not sure where we stack up, or I'm not sure we're doing things the right way, it takes 5 minutes. You go to phillipstutts.com. I'm sure you'll have it in your show notes. It's phillipstutts.com/audit. And you fill out this form. It's your publicly available digital footprint. My team will spend 2 or 3 business days poring over all of your publicly available digital footprint. They'll put together a 8-page, 25-point checklist of the things you're doing right and the things you can improve. And then we'll do a 30-minute free consultation call to answer any questions and walk through it all. And it's all complimentary. Now, if you find incredible value of that and you're like, hey, we got to work with you. If I've proven my value, that's awesome. If you want to take it and just implement it yourself, what we find in that thing, that's awesome too. Do what you need to do. But this is a free gift for anybody that listens to this today.
Oh, that is cool. Wow, that's a big commitment. What now? Give the URL again, just so it's clear for the listeners.
Yeah, it's just my name, phillipstutts.com/audit.
Perfect. All right. Well, listen, it was great having you on the show. Any last thoughts you want to share with our audience?
No, I appreciate your time today. I love your podcast, love your mission. I love that you serve others first.
Totally.
It just resonates with me. So it's an honor. It's an honor to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, man. Take care.
All right.